Hello everyone, thank you for joining me in Southport, North Carolina. Today we are catching the passenger ferry to Bald Head Island to see the Bald Head Lighthouse, also known as Old Baldy. The Bald Head Island passenger ferry leaves out of Deep Point Marina in Southport, North Carolina. Unlike our trip to Ocracoke, this ferry is not free. When I visited Bald Head Island, the round-trip fare was $23 for adults and parking was $12 per day. So it is an investment. Ferries depart every 60 to 90 minutes depending on the time of the day. I would recommend that you check the schedule in advance and reserve your tickets online, especially in the summer. Standby tickets can be purchased at the marina. You will have to wait for the next space available ferry. The ride itself is about 20 minutes, and along the way you will see all types of nature, as well as the Oak Island Lighthouse that we saw last week, and you will also catch a glimpse of Old Baldy from the water. As soon as you step off the ferry, it's just a quick 10 to 15 minute walk to Old Baldy. So if getting your steps in is not a priority, or you're planning to see more of the island, you are able to rent bikes or golf carts in the marina area. Old Baldy rises 110 feet above the island, making it the oldest standing lighthouse in North Carolina. Completed in 1817 to help guide mariners past the dangerous Frying Pan Shoals and into the Cape Fear River. The lighthouse was built using bricks from the island's first lighthouse, originally constructed in 1794, but dismantled in 1813. Its stucco covering, patched over the years, gives Old Baldy a one-of-a-kind patchwork quilt day mark. Right next to the tower is the restored keeper's quarters, which now houses the Smith Island Museum of History. Inside you'll find exhibits on the island's settlement, lighthouse history, and even stories of pirates and blockade runners who once navigated these waters. The museum is also where you'll purchase tickets, visit the gift shop, and begin your tour of Old Baldy. The lighthouse is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. So be sure to plan your visit during these hours if you want to climb the lighthouse. There is a small fee to visit the lighthouse and the museum. Structurally, the base of the lighthouse is 36 feet wide, and as you enter the lighthouse, you can see that the walls are up to 5 feet thick. The stone foundation is the original, and it has supported the tower for over 200 years. Inside, you'll see a plaque from the Steps to the Top campaign honoring the donors who helped restore the lighthouse. along with a banner listing rules for today's visitors, like no smoking, no food or drinks, and making sure that you take care to wear proper footwear. Climbing the tower is a self-guided experience. There are 108 steps made of North Carolina yellow pine spread across 5 landings. As we climb, here's a little history. Old Baldy wasn't exactly loved by mariners. They actually argue that it was too short, too far inland, and the light was simply too dim. A third-order Fresnel lens was later installed to improve the visibility of the lighthouse. During the Civil War, Old Baldy, like 164 other lighthouses, was darkened. It wasn't relit until 1879, when a new lantern room was added. As you can see, the lantern room is slightly off-centered because it was actually built to hold a 4th-order Fresnel lens in place of the 3rd-order Fresnel lens that was originally installed. Near the top, the last 9 steps are a steep ladder. By this point, the tower has narrowed to just 14.5 feet across, with walls only 2.5 feet thick. Once you step into the lantern room, just look at these views. You can see the Cape Fear River winding through the landscape, along with Bald Head's 3 unique habitats. It has a maritime forest in the middle. It has dune beaches along the coast. And then it has a salt marsh area. Keep in mind, the opening into the lantern room is pretty tight, so if you're carrying a large bag or backpack, it might be a tight squeeze. While we're looking around the grounds, you'll notice the small oil house, which was once used to store the whale oil and kerosene that fueled the light. Old Baldy and its surrounding property were deeded to the Old Baldy Foundation in 1991, and they've been responsible for preservation ever since. Even with the upgrades that were made after the war, mariners still complained about the effectiveness of Old Baldy. So in 1903, the Cape Fear Lighthouse was built on the other end of Bald Head Island to provide a stronger guiding light, and Old Baldy was eventually retired as an official aid to navigation. I didn't originally plan to go to the site of the Cape Fear Lighthouse, but thankfully, one of the tram drivers was nice enough to take me to the other side of the island so I could capture footage from the site where the Cape Fear Lighthouse once stood. This lighthouse was actually dismantled in the 1950s. Today, you can still see the foundation of the center column and the support legs that anchored the structure. So how do you get around the island? Cars are not allowed on the island, and don't expect to find a shuttle service. The island does offer a tram service to get visitors from the ferry to their island destination. While I was there, I noticed that the trams only show up when the ferry docks. So if you don't reserve a tram when you make your reservation for the island, you probably need to plan to walk, or you could rent a bicycle or a golf cart. So with your ferry ticket and the parking, you're basically invested in this trip. So what else is there to do on Bald Head Island? Bald Head Island is truly a nature lover's paradise. The island stretches about 14 miles north to south and boasts 14 miles of beautiful beaches to explore. Beyond the shoreline, you'll also find opportunities for bird watching, hiking in the island's maritime forests, paddling through quiet salt marshes by kayak, and you can even spot sea turtles during nesting season. Just beside the lighthouse, there is a historic church, complete with a peaceful garden and shaded seating area, a perfect spot to rest before or after your climb. And across the street from the lighthouse, you'll also notice some Revolutionary War placards that share the island's role in coastal defense, adding another layer of history to your visit. There's also a private 18-hole golf course at the Bald Head Island Club. Access is limited to members or guests with registered passes. The course is often ranked in the most beautiful courses in North Carolina. Even if you don't golf, it's still worth mentioning for the stunning ocean views and the dining options that are available there. As I mentioned earlier, you can also rent bikes and golf carts to explore the island on your own, or you can sign up for the 2-hour Bald Head Island historical tour, which usually begins shortly after the 10:30 ferry arrives. So if you want to take this tour, make sure that you're on that 10:30 ferry from Southport. The village of Bald Head Island surrounding the ferry terminal is also a beautiful area to explore. You'll find a few shops, restaurants, and even an ice cream stand, which is perfect after climbing Old Baldy. Golf cart and bike rentals are also available in this area. It's a small but lively spot that gives you a taste of island life before catching the ferry back to Southport. If you're only planning to be on the island for the day, make sure that you reserve your spot back to Southport, because I did notice that people who have reservations have priority. You're not booked for the time of the ferry. You will have to wait until after those people who have a reservation have boarded. On the trip back, be sure to sit on the right side of the boat so you can get a glimpse of the remains of the Price's Creek Lighthouse. This is a 20-foot brick range light built in 1849, and it's visible as you return to Deep Point Marina. So let me know in the comments if you've ever visited Bald Head Island or Old Baldy. What mode of transportation would you use on the island? Would you walk? Would you ride a bike? Or would you rent a golf cart? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It really does help the channel grow, and I don't want you to miss what's coming up next. Our next and final stop in North Carolina will be another ferry ride to the Cape Lookout Lighthouse. And until then, I'll see you at the light.